Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is the latest edition of our Cablecast Technical Training on reporting. This is a series we've been doing for a while. We have taken a little bit of time off, but there's a few others in this series if you haven't joined us for any previously. And this is just the first edition of 2018. So we'll be going over some of the robust reporting features that we have in Cablecast that will help you save time and gather lots of important data that you need about your programming. This is structured mostly like our other webinars that we do, which means that we will start out just going over a few housekeeping items here. We'll get into the presentation, and then we will do the question and answer. So we'll give the presentation in its entirety. As you have questions, feel free to put those in the question and answer box that you see on your GoToWebinar panel on the side. And then after we complete the presentation, we will get to the questions. And we will be addressing questions that directly address the topic at hand here. So that is reporting first. If you have general questions, those will be answered at the end if we don't run out of time, but we will address reporting related questions first. We are also recording this webinar, so it will be made available. We are over capacity on registration actually right now, which is great. We're excited that many people want to hear about this topic. But that means if anybody can't get in, so like if someone else at your station was trying to get in and they couldn't get in, we will be sending the recording out to everyone that registered, even if they, got busy and just couldn't even log in today. And we will also be posting it on our website later without the question and answer section. So just so you know, there will be a recording in it. That's also if you see something cool and just want to go back and reference it later. That said, I am going to throw it back over to Ryan, who is our Cablecast trainer. By the way, I don't think I introduced myself. I'm Michelle Ali-Murati, Marketing Manager for our Cablecast Community Media team. And without further ado, I will pass it over to Ryan.
All right. Well, thank you, Michelle. So like Michelle said, my name is Ryan. I am the training technician here at Tightrope Media Systems, or for the Cablecast side for Cablecast Community Media. So I probably talked to a handful of you guys already before, and familiar with some of you. So before we kind of dive into it, when we're going to be talking about reporting today, is we just kind of want to, like Michelle said, we got a little bit of housekeeping stuff. One thing that we want to promote is that we do have a new website. I don't know if many people have gone to it yet, but we do have kind of a relaunch of our website. And we've kind of designed it so that it's product specific. So there's a separate website just for Cablecast, and there's a separate website just for Carousel product, depending on kind of what information you're wanting to look for and get the information, rather than trying to navigate through the whole Tightrope Media Systems family website in a sense. So the new website is cablecast.tv, and that's going to take you into Cablecast in here. We've got a lot of great resources, some really nice, clean, refreshed design. With a bunch of information there. We've got our help center that's available with a bunch of different things in here. We've got some tutorial videos. You can access documents and downloads for other resources, like the Flex Server Formats document or TeamViewer downloads, or whatever it is you may need there. We also do have a section in here for the webinars that we're also posting from past webinars. So we just recently did the webinar for talking about the new features in Cablecast 6.4, and we've got that posted on our website now. So that's available for you to watch here. We've also got some other ones that we've done in the past as well. One thing that we did want to point out is we do have our community resources section. And for example, like our customer stories, this has some information about different success stories or how some of our other customers are using it. But more importantly, right up here at the top is a place where you can sign up for notifications on different information that we want to send out to our customers. If you click on that sign up, it's going to point us to a new page here where you'll be able to fill out all your contact information. And then down at the bottom, you can subscribe to different sets of email lists where you can go and sign up for your webinar notifications, product news and updates, mailing list or the technical training and webinars one or anything like that. So if you want to stay informed on these upcoming webinars that we're planning on doing more frequently now, you can have that information sent to you and added to that email list from there. So again, if you just go to our community resources and you can choose like the customer stories, there's that sign up link right up at the top, and that'll take you to that form for you to fill out. All right, so now that we got that out of our way, let's talk about reporting. So we're going to be using the latest version of Cablecast, which we just released, which is Cablecast 6.4. A lot of the functionality with reporting that we're going to be showing is going to be very translatable to previous versions of Cablecast, as long as in reference to Cablecast 6. If you're older than 6, some stuff is going to probably look a little similar, but it's not as robust as the reporting functionality that we've improved in Cablecast 6. There are a couple new features that have been added with Cablecast 6.4 to give you a little bit more detailed reporting, and I'll be sure to point those out to you when we get into that. So today we're using Cablecast 6.4. If you do have interest in upgrading to that, reach out to our support staff or to any of our sales staff, and they can talk to you about getting on the latest version of our software. So to get to our reporting functionality, that is going to be done under our tools, and we're going to click on that, which is our little wrench icon over here in our menu bar on the left-hand side. And then we have a tab right here for reporting. There are 2 different types of reports that you can generate within Cablecast. The first one is going to be a schedule report, and that's going to be generating data about all of your playback information. So how many times a program played, when did it air, all the information about first time it played, how many times it's repeated, all that information in there. The other type of report that we have is called a shows report. And what that is going to do is that's just going to give you general information about how many show records you've created in a period of time that you designate. So it's not going to give you any of that playback information. So if you just want to know how much new programming has been added to the system, the shows report will be able to give you that and generate that information. Where a schedule report is actually going to give you all that information in addition to how many times it's been played back with all that playback data, first run details, and so on and so forth in there. So we're going to talk about our schedule report first, and that's basically kind of what we're going to be covering today, because that's primarily what a lot of our customers will use for their reporting functionalities. They want to know how much programming has been played out on their channel, because they need to do reports and things like that to send to their council members or their mayor or their planning commissions or whoever it is, or the cable commission that they need to report to. So our schedule report, we click on that. Oops. We're going to go back to our main screen here and our reporting. There. And this is what you're going to get to when you click on that reporting. A lot of different things that you can do from here and tell you how much information you want to pull and what specific information you want to pull. So we're going to kind of start from over here on the left and kind of work our way down and then talk about these breakdowns over here on the right. So the first area that it's going to talk about is our dates that we want to schedule this or get our information for. So we can set a start date and an end date on that. It's going to default to 1 month previously from today being the last day of that report. So basically it's giving you the last 30 days in a sense of playback data if you were to just leave this. If we wanted to know, like, hey, we want to know for the month of March or something like that, we can actually go and click on our calendar icons here and set a specific playback information for that date range if we wanted to. This is also really handy if you need to do like an annual report at the end of the year and you want to know how much programming you've done for the last calendar year or the last fiscal year or whatever it may be. You can also generate that information here as well and kind of be very specific on the date ranges that you want. But for today, what we're going to do is we're going to just do, let's say, April through May 31st. Or May, no, let's go, oops. April 1st through April 30th. How about that? We'll go through that. So we're just going to get our playback data for the month of April. Now, some of the other things that we have down here is the next is where you have our filters. The filters allow you to be specific on what channels or what locations you want to pull information from. If you do have multiple locations, you can choose which specific location that you want to. Multiple location configuration with Cablecast is not a very common. If you don't know what that is, or you don't have multiple locations, don't worry about it. You're not probably going to be doing it. That's a very unique case-by-case situation where customers will have multiple locations in certain situations. But a lot of our customers do have multiple channels. What you can do here is you can either signify if you want to run a report on all of your channels to get all the playback channels or playback data across everything, or you can just specifically run a channel or a report on one of the specific channels. So I only want to know what our government channel programming is, or if you're a full PEG facility, I only want to get the public access channels data, and then I want to run a report specifically on my educational channel or whatever it may be. You can be very hyper specific with that, or you can just generate a report that has everything. That's going to basically compile everything all together. Now over here on the right hand side is going to be all the breakdowns, and this is going to be what information do you want to pull and generate from that report and actually show in this published report that we're actually going to create. There's going to be two that are automatically going to be check marked for you and be signified on there. First one is going to be your totals. This is going to give you the total number of playbacks for that date range that we set. So here we're going to be April 1st through April 30th. It's going to give us our total number of plays, total number of programs, total number of hours, all that information. The other one that's going to be automatically checked for us is going to be our first runs. That's going to tell us how much programming has been original first playbacks versus how much of it has been repeat programming. So then we can get some accurate data on how much information is original new programming versus old programming that's playing during that time. So then you can have that information in there. The other things that we can then break down is we can also have other significations in here. So we can have breakdowns broken down by location. If you are doing that multiple location, you can also break it down by channel as well. So if you didn't want to run a report for each individual channel, you can run it as all channels and then still have it broken down by which channel is playing more programming than the others. So it's going to tell you how much of that information is on there. We do also have some of the other fields that are within our show records that we can have broken down by. We can break down by categories. So if you're utilizing that field in your show records, you can see how much sports programming, how much meeting programming, how much music, whatever it may be in there. And it'll have it broken down and show all that data in there. We can also have it broken down by producer. So you can see how much of a specific producer is creating and submitting programming to your channel. And you can also have it broken down by project. And that'll give you all those different projects that you're generally using and utilizing for organizing all of your programming in your Cablecast system. Now, these other ones that we have in here is very special to the new feature that we've added, or a newly improved feature, I should actually say, within Cablecast 6.4. So if you aren't familiar with some of the features that are in 6.4, be sure to watch that video that we did post about the webinar in there, and it goes over in detail some of the new features that have been added to 6.4 that are really great. One of the things that has been utilized is we've improved our custom field functionality. So what these fields are, these are different custom fields that we have added to our system that we can also check and fill out when we're creating our different show records. Once we're using those different custom fields, we can also generate the reports broken down by some of those custom fields. So for example, we might have a custom field labeled for paid programming so that we can signify how much of it is paid programming versus how much of it is non-paid. And we can actually use those different fields, those custom fields, to generate reports as well. So we can see how much programming was paid programming versus not. We can see how much programming has like agendas and different things like that attached to the show records, or links, or if there's a kill date or whatever it may be that we're utilizing those different custom fields. They're going to be signified over here on the right hand side with that custom to let you know about that this is a special field. This isn't just the generic one. These are ones that you've created on your own, utilizing that custom field functionality. And again, like I said, with custom fields, that's something that you're going to want to either look at our webinar for our 6.4 features. We talk about that in a little bit more detail on that, about using the custom fields, or you can reach out to support and talk to them about upgrading to 6.4, and we can get you a rundown on talk to you about some of those different things. Now, so we selected our different categories for our different breakdowns in here. So we've got total runs, first runs, channels, paid programming, different things like that. It's also going to list all the different types of information that we're going to be generating underneath them. So like, for example, with our totals, it's going to tell us that we're going to generate a pie chart. We're going to have our show summary table. We're going to have a show detail table, and we're also going to have a bar chart. And it's all going to be colored in green. Now, if I click on my little gear or settings icon over here on the right-hand side for our totals, it's going to allow us to customize what specific components we want to use for that specific breakdown. So if I don't want to see a pie chart, or if I don't want to see the bar chart or the shows table or the statistics table or something along those lines, I could just uncheck those so that it cleans it up so it's not as cluttered. We can also change our color if we wanted to. So let's say I wanted to have a red kind of color scheme for our totals. We can do that, and we can totally customize these different things in here. And we can do that for any one of our different custom breakdowns that we have in here. So once we decide, okay, these are the different things that we want within our breakdown or our reporting, we can click on our view report. It's going to take a second to generate that report, and it's going to give us our report right here that we can view. As you can see, it's going to start off with our total runs, and it's going to give us a pie chart right off the bat. And then it's going to be broken down so we can see, okay, 1% of our programming has been our dueling docs, or we've got 2% of programming has been our Mother's Day program, or whatever it may be in there. And it's going to give you some of those different breakdowns with different values so that we can visually see if there's one program that's playing more than others. So you might have your city council meeting playing more frequently, and it'll tell you percentage-wise in that last month how much has been playing there. Now we also have our statistics table right here. It's going to tell us how total number of shows that have been scheduled during that time. Those 461 shows have been scheduled a total of 2,525 times. And then we can also get a total run time for that. So out of that month, we've scheduled 737 hours, 47 minutes, and 8 seconds worth of programming. So you can get that actual detail and information about how much programming has officially been playing. Your show details are going to tell you all the different shows that have been scheduled with all that information and total number of times that it's been scheduled and what channel they've been scheduled on. And with this, we're going to have a lot of information. And with this, if you wanted to jump to a different area, meaning I don't want to scroll through here, we have our list of breakdowns over here on the right-hand side. Now, let's say I just want to jump to my first run detail. I can click on first run, and it's going to jump me right there. Now, our first run detail is going to tell us how much programming has been original and how much programming has been replays. So in that last month that we've done, so the month of April, I've had 4% of my programming has been original. And there's been 109 runs that have been original first playbacks, where everything else has been 96% has been replays or repeat runs. It's going to tell us that information here, total of 109. And then it's going to go through that list and tell us, okay, this is the new program that was played during that time. This is when it originally aired, what channel, your total runtime, so on and so forth. And you can go down there. We can then jump to some of our other breakdowns as well. So if I want to jump to my channels, it's going to give me my breakdown here in a pie chart saying 98% of my programming has been scheduled on channel 5 versus my government channel. Then within there, it's going to give us our breakdown. Okay, this is all the information for channel 5. These are the programs that have played during that time, and so on and so forth. And we can kind of scroll through there. Now let's look at one of our custom fields as well. So we're going to go to our paid programming. Now with this, it's going to have 3 different areas in here. So with that paid programming, it is going to have, basically it was set as a yes, no answer for our custom field. Yes, was it paid programming, or no, it's not paid programming. You're also going to have a third value, which is no value at all. That's going to be, we haven't put a yes or no answer into those specific show records. So anything that was playing during that time would either have a yes or a no or no value at all. So we can get some of that information in here. And you can utilize those custom fields however you want to utilize them. So if you wanted to do paid programming, or maybe it's a staff produced versus a community member produced, or whatever it may be, or nonprofit versus profit organization. Who knows? You can do some of that and have some of those different values and information in there. And it's going to give you all those breakdowns in here. So once we have that report, there's now a couple different things that we can do with it. Now, this is going to give you a lot of great information. We can print out this report if we wanted to. So we can click on our print report button down here, and it's going to allow you to print to whatever printer you have access to. So if you have it linked to a printer in your office, you can print to that, and it will generate a report so that you can add this to your city council meeting packets or whatever it may be in there, or add it and send it to your governor, or not your governor, your city council members or your mayor or whoever it may be in there. One of the other things that you can do is we also have this view public button. Now this view public button is going to give you basically a direct link to that report that will allow someone to view this report if they do not have a front door login, or if they don't have a login or access to Cablecast or something like that. The only downside with this is if you have to either have a public version of your website or of your Cablecast system, or they need to be within your network. So let's say instead of having to print off the 10 copies of the report yourself and then correlate them and staple them and all that stuff, you could just send this public link to your city clerk or your secretary or something like that, and then they'll be able to print that off. This is just basically a direct link to that report if someone's in your network, or in this case, because we have a public version of our website, we can actually have anybody, you can send this to them so they can actually view the report, and they don't necessarily need to have a front door login. So they can just view this without having to log in and try to navigate and generate the reports themselves. So that's a really nice feature that you can do within there. One of the other things that you're also going to see in here is we also have a button down at the bottom of all of our different fields there for save data as a CSV. Now, CSV stands for a comma separated values. And so what that is basically it's a document that you can put into any sort of spreadsheet application and allows you to kind of crunch those numbers a little bit more in detail. Real easy, just click on that. It's going to start downloading down at the bottom. And I've already downloaded it and added it into a spreadsheet right here. Now, you can just add that, import it into an Excel spreadsheet. You can also, like in this case, what I did is I put this into Google Docs and opened it up, and it opened as a Google Sheets document. And with this, even though we had it broken down, we said, I only want to have that paid programming data field, or I only want to know my first runs or my total or total runs or whatever it is. That CSV file is going to pull all of those different values that you have available in your reporting, and it's going to give you all of that data for the CSV file. So whether you did pull it out in your printed version of your reporting or not, being we're only doing total first run, channel, and programming or paid programming, our CSV file is going to have show ID, title, total runtime, total number of runs, our channel, our category, our project, producer, paid programming, and all the different other custom fields that we've added in here. And we can look at all the different things in there. So church, link, kill date, agenda, private notes, whatever it is. All those different fields that you can add and have as breakdowns when you generate your report. When you do your export your CSV, it will allow you to pull that data all together. So then you do have all that extra information, so you can crunch your numbers a little bit more and put it into a different format if you're wanting to, and kind of having that other reference in there rather than just the numbers that we're showing and information that we can pull from our software. So some people really like to utilize this and then create their own reports and generate some stuff like that way. And then they can you really kind of customize things a little bit more with using that CSV file. But in here, if we wanted to go in and make some changes or make any edits, we can click back on our edit report. It's going to take us back to that screen so we can change our dates, change any of our breakdowns. Let's say I don't want my bar chart or my show details. I just want a pie chart for my total runs. I can change those. And now if I go to my totals there, I've only got my pie chart, and now I'm in some of my other information in there. So reporting really does give you a lot of great information, and it gives you the ability to use as much information or as little information you want to pull from your playback information or your data that you're generating for your station. So these are just some of the different features that you can do with that, with the functionality. You can also, like I said, create that CSV file where you can go into more detail and kind of crunch some numbers more specifically if you wanted to do it that way.